Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today, and we got some insider info a couple weeks ago, apparently, from this man on the phone. We have a man on the phone today. What's your name? I don't want to expose my source here. So, what do you want people to know you as?
They can know me as, say, good citizen. Let's just say that.
Good citizen.
Yeah, the good racing citizen. So yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you right now that Stewart-Haas is gonna be selling a charter to Denny Hamlin's 2311, and Denny Hamlin's gonna go to Ford, and he's no longer gonna race with Joe Gibbs Racing, and he's gonna run with his own team.
Now hold on, is this even out there? Let's do a Google search. I'll put Denny Hamlin going to Ford. We'll see if it's on Google at all. Going to Ford ? NASCAR insider fears Joe Gibbs. Hold on. 23. Oh, wow. About a week ago, 2311 Racing linked to Ford amid negotiations with Toyota for 2024. So this has like mainstream support.
When they raced last race at Michigan, 2311 executives met with Ford Motor Company.
Really?
So.
Wow. And what would spur all this? Why is this happening all of a sudden?
Well, I would say because.
And where are they getting it? I guess it'll be a charter from. How would they? So they already have a Toyota, or they have a charter, period, right? Or two charters, technically. And this would make it three, and then they would just switch manufacturer.
So this would explain why Toyota signed Legacy Motor Club.
Yes.
So they picked up two cars with Legacy, with Jimmy Johnson, and from what I understand, the reason why they did that was because they knew that they were going to lose 2311 to Ford.
Wow. And this is, and where are the Stewart charters going? Is TSR going to be in existence next year?
Yeah, TSR is just going to go from, they're selling one for sure to Denny Hamlin, and then probably a second one might be sold as well. So Stewart-Haas could be down to two charters.
And why is this happening to Stewart-Haas? Why are they after him?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're after them. I would say that, Ford's going to spread their money towards someone like, Denny Hamlin, who's going to be an owner-driver within his own team, right?
Well, why in the hell is this all of a sudden happen with Ford and Tony Stewart? Why is he all of a sudden not important? Like, I mean, they did all that money with the sprint car engines. They did all this stuff, and then could it be like the drag racing thing? Are people at Ford mad because he's Dodge or whatever Mopar in drag racing? Is that a potential reason? I mean,
well, I can't confirm that, but if you just kind of look at what's going on, I would say that that's a possibility in the background, right? Like, let's be honest, it might not look like it from a public-facing standpoint, but it obviously seems that it is the situation that, Ford wasn't happy that Tony was going to Dodge for NHRA, which I don't see why they would be really that upset unless rich people are petty. No, but there was rumblings a couple years ago that Tony Stewart, like the whole Haas Stewart Racing was going to go Dodge. Dodge was taking a serious look at coming back to NASCAR. And I think that might have irked Ford a little bit, possibly. So.
What do you mean? Like TSR was going to flip?
Yeah, I think they were going to switch to Dodge because Dodge was going to come back to NASCAR, and then they changed their mind at the last minute.
Just kind of decoyed them.
I wouldn't say they decoyed them. I would just say that it probably just didn't. The budget just wasn't there. The budget was maybe more allocated to the NHRA. So, and that's just what happened, I think.
And so Ford got wind of that, and then we're like, we're not going to make y'all the 1A team anymore.
I would say right now that Stewart-Haas Racing right now is the number 2 Ford team right now.
Well, we would assume that number one would have to be Penske, correct? Where's Penske rank in this?
I would say from a funding program, you have number 1 Penske, and you have number 1 also being RFK.
Well, right? RFK used to be getting. It's weird how, as fast as RFK was last year to how fast TSR is this time last year, it's almost reverse roles. It seems like the RFK cars are at TSR level, and the TSR cars are at RFK level this year versus last year's performance.
Correct.
And this is kind of what you're saying is kind of behind it all, this kind of funding in the back scenes of the racing world that we don't see or know about or they tell us about.
100%. If you're not a tier one team with the manufacturer, you're not going to get all of the information and all of the money.
So is it more so information?
It's a mix of everything. It's a mix of information, and it's also a mix of money, right, and resources.
Right.
So,
well, it just makes
like if you look at Chevrolet in the Xfinity Series, Junior Motorsports is the number 1 Chevy team, and Colleague Racing is also part of number 1 at the Xfinity level. But when you go to Colleague Racing, for example, with Chevrolet is number 2 at the Cup Series level with regards to manufacturer support and information sharing.
Well,
they're not at the Hendrick level.
Isn't this new next-gen car supposed to eliminate all these advantages? So why does it even exist?
Well, at the end of the day, in racing, we're gonna spend the money in different areas to find speed.
Right, I understand that, but this car is supposed to not allow that to happen. It's supposed to be not a traditional stock car, but a modern version of a car that is stock, and this is the pieces you get, and that's what you got. I thought that was like the selling point of these cars.
Well, it is a great selling point of the car, Chaz. You have to remember that they're more equal than they've ever been, but also at the same time, the window is much smaller from a performance standpoint versus the old cars where people are building their own stuff, right? Where the performance window is much, much bigger, right? And that's why you have a Kyle Larson having a 2021 year and just absolutely destroying the field because he had the best car.
You don't think he's just the best driver? I would argue that Kyle Larson's the best driver in Cup. I mean, I don't think he's the best driver than dirt racers. He's not the best dirt racing driver, but as far as best Cup racing driver, talent that's in that field, I would say he's 1A and Bell's probably 1B. These other guys are just actors as far as I'm concerned.
I would say that if Kyle Larson ran more dirt, I think that he would be the best, hands down.
I don't think if he ran more dirt, he would be you mean the best as far as what?
Talent, results.
I think
top 5s, top 3s.
In dirt or in
100%.
You think if he committed to a Lucas Oil late model series, he would just dominate?
100%. He would dominate.
Not possible, sir. No way. I don't even think he could dominate Dallin Murdy in an IMCA stock car. I thought we were talking about Cup.
I think the guy could dominate in anything personally.
Well, I think you're just a big Larsonite. We got it. But at the end of the day,
Larsonite.
That's all you are. That's all you people are for. I'm not that, but I will say I think that the easiest competition Kyle Larson faces in racing is in that NASCAR Cup Series. And I think that he is a superb talent compared to the field that he races against on Sunday. Dirt racing is just 10 or 15 times more difficult to, the competition level is just that much higher. I think that he is him and Bell, and maybe you could throw in, like, I'll give some Martin Truex Jr. a little respect. Those guys are Denny Hamlin. They're just on another level compared to everyone else, in my opinion.
I agree.
Everybody else is just, like I said, actors.
There's no arguing that.
But I just don't see him dominating dirt.
Got there from. If Paul Silva would actually run a full-time schedule, I guarantee you that he would.
I don't even think Paul Silva's the best crew chief in sprint car racing. You know.
Well, the only way to find out
I think Phil Dietz
ran a full year.
Well, no, you can look at Paul and getting different drivers, and what do those different drivers do when Paul's wrenching it? Does it look the same as Kyle? No. I mean, he had decent success with Sanders and a few other guys, but Golubic ain't did nothing in it. I mean, a couple guys of Gio ran it, I guess. You know, I look at Phil Dietz went from gravel to Macedo, like it didn't even look like a person changed. The car was just as fast. You know, I call that skill. It doesn't matter who's driving it. The crew chief is there, you know.
I'm not going to argue that. I would say that Phil Dietz is probably one of the best. I 100%. Because exactly to your point, when Gravel got out of that car and Macedo got in that car, that elevated Macedo's game.
Right.
The other way around.
Right. It was like Gravel was. It's like the driver never changed. The speed was there, and that's on the crew chief side, in my opinion. So I just don't see that kind of transition in Paul's wrenching from Larson to other drivers. It seems like if Larson's not in that car, it's not going to be on Larson's level, you know. So I think Larson makes up for that car sometimes. I do. That's just me.
But here's the thing.
That's just me. I mean, Paul Silva's badass. Let's not get it wrong. Shane Stewart at Knoxville was just as good as Kyle. Paul's still a badass. I just don't see this over the top better than everyone else that is out there.
I
just don't see it that way.
I'm like 80% there, Chaz. To be honest, I'm about 80% there because I have seen other people, you know, allegedly get in the same car and not do nearly as good as Kyle Larson. You know, I think you're kind of right there. But then again, you know, a generational talent can make anybody look good, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We've seen Silva do some of those West Coast. Sorry, we had an ad pop up on the screen. We saw Silva do some of those West Coast races with other drivers in the 57W. It's not his personal car, but he was the wrench on it. And Sanders won some races in it. I mean, a couple people won, but some people looked average in them too, you know. I mean, and if it wasn't a superstar driver, it didn't really go.
So here's my question. So Anthony Macri now.
Oh God.
We thought he was the greatest thing in that 39 car. Obviously, that 39 car was pretty damn good.
39 car's a Ferrari.
And again, 100% it's a Ferrari, but also it's a combination too, right? So, and then, you know, he hops in what's his name's car that got injured, and then Sunshine comes. Sunshine hops in Sunshine's car.
Courtney
and doesn't do that great, and then Sunshine comes back after I thought he was written off for the year and wins.
That is crazy. You know, I mean,
so
Anthony Macri, the things he can do at Port Royal are pretty crazy. I mean, it looked like this year it was kind of like a spark off season because he won at 34 with high limit, you know, short track kind of, not really his style. And then all of a sudden, shit hit the fan or T-shirts flew off a trailer, and now we're left questioning, is Anthony Macri good? Honestly. Because the drop-off was so significant. Was it not? This is like the biggest turn of any driver going from one car to another. Like.
So then you know what I say right there?
But then, I mean, he did good at Knoxville. He did okay. But I mean, it's outside of that. It was there were some hard runs in that. I mean, what was it in the Bernie 71 car at high limit? It was like 10th or 12th or something in a B. You know?
Yeah.
What do you do?
And that was not a bad car.
No, it's not.
That is not a bad car. So then you know what? I say, and take it for what it's worth. It's obviously it's got to be the mental side of what happened from the time that he left that car to now. He's obviously coming to a realization of, oh, I effed up, or he's under so much friggin' pressure that he's not even able to perform. Like, I bet you Anthony Macri has more pressure.
I have some hot rumor. I've heard some hot rumor things that there was a conversation between Anthony and the 39M group, and I'm not saying what happened or who happened, but it seems like that's not gonna come back together anytime soon.
If you know what, if you ever want
if anyone, all I'm saying is, if anybody is got $1 million on Anthony's going back to the 39M car here real soon, it ain't happening. Take the money off the table.
What? If I was Anthony Macri right now, I would be crawling all the way home.
I can tell you right now, sir, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Well, you know what? Then he's either going to cut his career short and go do something else, go get a 9-to-5, or you know what, buddy? You better kiss and make up, and you better say sorry, and you better get back in that.
That's not happening. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how else. That's not happening.
Well, Chaz, then
are you saying he needs the 39 more than anything? He can't win in another car. I mean, he did all right at Knoxville. I mean,
I'm telling you that the pressure that he has today, he's never had in his life. And it's breaking him.
What do you mean? What pressure though? What if he don't feel no pressure? What if he don't care?
How did he have pressure in the 39M? It was a house car.
Well, I know, but you're saying today's pressure of not being in that car is more than anything ever. What if he don't care if he's ever back in that car?
Well, then he must have other sources of income, Chaz, because he ain't going to make anything unless he's in the 39M. Sorry.
I mean, you're saying he can't perform without that car.
I'm telling you that
he can't run someone else's car.
Is it a Ferrari?
I mean, that Indy Race Parts car can be a Ferrari. I've seen it be one. Right,
but Chaz, he has to put the work in. He's going to have to work harder than he's ever worked, ever. Does he want to do it?
So you're saying to be fast outside of that 39M, it's more than just showing up and racing.
You got to put the work in. You got to build the relationships. You got to work really friggin' hard. You got to hustle. Look at Brad Sweet. How many times has Brad Sweet gone from ride to ride and won?
But don't you think that
James McFadden gone from ride to ride and won and built up
the
performance?
But what if people like Macri, for instance, is looking at like, well, hell, Jacob Allen didn't even want to keep doing the top of the mountain. You know, maybe this racing thing ain't all that. I should get out while I have a life to live.
Why didn't Bobby Allen call Anthony Macri?
I'm just saying, what if it's the same kind of thought? What if it's the same, who cares about this racing shit?
Well, then, you know.
What if they like there's more to life than racing? I get it. Trust me. It's real easy to do that. If
that's what he wants to do, by all means. You know? But then hang it up.
Just say it's over.
Because that's the thing, Chaz, in this racing world, if you don't put the work in, and, you know, especially those that might MF you, you know, you don't keep putting the work in and showing up, you're going to become irrelevant very, very quickly.
It just don't.
That's all I'm saying.
Seeing someone, I will say this, seeing someone else in the 39M, even though I was really happy for Justin getting the opportunities,
it's not right.
But it's really like watching like somebody in Sammy's TMC car, you know, like or like Kinzer, the Quaker State 11, you know, Kinzer's somebody else is driving it. It's like, no, that's not him, you know.
I agree, and that's why I say you need to kiss and make up, and you know, whatever the conflict is, you know, obviously it happened very, very quickly because I was in shock. You know, obviously I don't know all the details, nor do I even care about the details, but I do agree with you. Watching that 39 car out on the track and it not being Anthony Macri, it does piss me off.
But no, again, I mean, not even pissed me off. Just the identity that the time that was built.
Well, I agree. The identity with that, the identity with the 1A, which is now the 1T, you know, which I understand. Jacob Allen, I get it. I respect that. But I'm telling you right now, I'm getting used to the 39N being with Sanders right now. I'm telling you. Yeah. I think that would be really good.
You think so?
I think that'd be it would be a deadly combination. And I really hope that they actually give the guy a chance next year, full time.
You think so full time?
If they give that guy the chance of a full time, I think it would be huge. Just like I think that Tanner Holmes, now with Bobby Allen, I honestly feel, Chaz, this is going to elevate the sprint car world because his followers and his level of engagement on YouTube is huge, and it is going to help massively. You know, the kid is still the exact same kid that I first met, you know, 3 years ago. He's still the exact same kid. So he hasn't changed.
Right.
So, you know, I think that it's going to help the sprint car world.
Tanner Holmes obviously going to the 1T car. They just put out T-shirts today, actually. The car's not blue. It doesn't even look like the Shark car. I'm kind of don't know why. I guess they might be trying to get away from the Jacob Allen #1. But
well, you got to build your own brand.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to try and make this work.
Yeah, make it a brand of its own, and not as Bobby Allen-y. Although that kind of sucks because the Bobby Allen part kind of made it cool. Even though everyone will know the connection, regardless. But I don't know. You think it's gonna make it popular? I will say that his lines after the races, even though, you know, they don't keep up with Larson, they're probably second to Larson, tied with Rico sometimes. But I'll tell you what, it is a lot of younger people. It's, you know, you don't see too many, gray hairs in the line for Tanner Holmes. You know, you see a lot of you see a lot of vans. You see a lot of like younger styles, younger people in the line with Tanner Holmes, and that's a part of the sport that is definitely missing. Is the younger people for sure. I notice it even more nowadays. I mean, sometimes in sprint car racing it gets younger. Late model racing too. Obviously, different sectors of the country, it can be more younger as well. Like the West Coast seems to have good young popularity, but some areas it's a bunch of older people where it's popular. So I think the age range of fans that he's bringing in is really important.
It's massive, and you know there are, you know, the Corey Days of the world, you know, the younger kids that are, you know, 16, 17, 18 years old that could be doing the same thing as Tanner Holmes, but they're not willing to put in the work, right? And that's the reason why this kid has built a following, right? Because he has grinded and grinded.
And any one of these fucking little, because I was even at Jackson, I went to a couple of the pits and they were all talking shit. Oh yeah, that's the YouTube kid, gets a ride. And it was another guy. I was like, what do you race? He was a local 360 or some kind of racer. And I was like, you know, the difference between, and this is what people are not understanding, the amount of work that it took to beat Tanner Holmes. you could do it. Like you said, you could do it too. They're just lazy. Tanner Holmes busted his fucking ass to get this, like you said, all those
100%.
kids, all these people talking shit. You would do what Tanner Holmes is doing, but you're one, too lazy, and two, you don't have the skills. It takes so much skill and ability and talent to cut these videos like I do, or he does, or anybody does. We're all running around here basically little miniature producers and directors and, or actors sometimes, whatever, we're doing some real filmmaking, like, hard stuff, and they may see it as easy. Well, if it's so easy, why ain't you doing it? Because it ain't.
So people understand that they might pump out a video and they might be lucky to make $150 on that video. Do they realize that?
No, I mean, there's not a lot of money in the YouTube world. You got to keep with it if you want it to build to anything.
You got to build subscribers, and if you don't build subscribers, you're not going to have any success.
Right, and it's not easy. Everybody thinks they can do it. Yeah, you sound like the damn high school dropout who used to play football, who's on the couch Sunday at 35 saying, I could be just as good as a quarterback. No, you couldn't. You were just lazy, I mean.
Hey, man, I agree. Like, look at T-Mez. T-Mez started his channel,
right,
and he's even saying that his the only way he's actually making money, consistent money, is through his YouTube. How sad is that?
That's really sad, considering I know about the price he's making, if that's the case. Yeah.
But he said consistent money.
Well, that makes sense.
Right?
I guess you could consistently get to a certain amount of views. But still, I mean, it's just tough. And for Tanner Holmes to stick out that tough grind to get the opportunities, I see that as working hard for whatever he's got. But anyways, yeah, I think they're stupid to hate on him for that.
100%. And the other thing I was going to tell you, you know the reason why GMS and the Truck Series shut down, the truck program.
Why did GMS shut down? What's that all about?
So the funding for that, so that's all manufactured support money, and that money's now going to Kyle Busch Motorsports.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because also you got to remember that GMS on the truck side is Chevrolet, where Legacy Motor Club is now going from Chevrolet to Toyota.
Oh my.
So if you ever understand why the level of support that Legacy Motor Club is getting right now with Chevrolet, if you're even noticing how fast they are, or lack of, they're not very fast this year compared to last year, is because Legacy was not going to be with Chevrolet going forward, and they're going to switch to Toyota. The reason why they're switching to Toyota is because Toyota needs to have a place to put these kids that they spend so much freaking money on.
Right. The rent-a-rides.
Well, yeah. The rent-a-rides, because you got to remember they need something to feed Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yep.
So, because Joe Gibbs Racing is the flagship,
Yeah.
Can't mess around with Joe Gibbs Racing. They're the flagship in the Xfinity and also in the Cup Series. So you can't mess that. You can't mess that up. And so that's why that whole thing happens, because
this is all because the reason the midget deal's there is to prep people to get ready to pay for racing. Basically. I mean, they try to sell it as an audition, but it's really just getting you, it's desensitizing you to the shock of having to pay to race, where the sport was built on paying drivers to race and win. That was the monetary goal. That's no longer the goal is not to win races anymore. The goal is to make money off of sponsors who are somehow related to the drivers in one way or another, and for drivers to bring money and pay these individual companies to race. And that's where the money is at now. And so they get them ready to do that in that midget era. You know, they're even doing it in the karting now and the micro now. You know, they get them trained to, all right, well, you're going to race, but this is how much money you have to pay to race. When it was really the reverse when racing was thriving and good. It was like, all right, well, we want you to race, and here's how much we're going to pay you. You know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that ship has sailed. But if these kids want to make it, they gotta build their brand.
What is make it?
Their YouTube channel. What's that? What is make it? Make it is being paid to drive a race car. That's how you say somebody makes it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, you got race teams telling you how you can make money in dirt. You know, right off the bat with half of the, not even half the investment. Like 1 year in a truck, $3 million. You know, you could have a sprint car team for 10 years, 5 to 10 years for that amount of money. You know, it's like, why are you pursuing a NASCAR career that you really ain't that famous? We did that video where we broke down even the big famous names in Cup. They're not even that famous. We got a lot of dirt guys more popular than destroy those guys in NASCAR. You know, so what are you buying? What are you buying with that money?
We all know that guys that are racing Cup are not the best. And anybody who says that Cup, Ryan Newman, I think you interviewed Ryan Newman, and he said that the reason why they're there is because they're the best. That's bullshit.
Well, I didn't want to fight Ryan Newman, so I let it go.
No. He'll just bulldoze you with his head.
That's true.
By all means, over half of the drivers are in the Cup Series because they bring money to the table.
Right.
That's it. Or they're there because they're buddy with the head of the manufacturer. That's
right.
It. It's the only reason.
Or buddy with a big sponsor, you know, like Martin Truex with fucking Bass Pro. They're not sponsoring him because he's the best driver. I mean, he's really good, but they're only sponsoring him because they're buddies.
Exactly. The same thing happens in the sprint car world, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's some of these guys that drive some of these cars, and the only reason that they're driving the cars is because they're buddy. That's it. It's not because they're the fastest driver. It's because they're buddy.
Well, and then the only reason they're buddies at all is because of money. So they're not even really friends, you know. But at the end of the day, they've transitioned that into getting these kids to just pay the bills. You know, getting their daddies and parents and all that to just, you know, destroy the credibility for professional racing in a weird way, you know. There's no sport in the world. There's no sport in the world where you're only called a pro because you bought the label. It's like the blue check mark on Twitter now. You know, you used to get it because of what you actually did, and now you can literally just buy it. You can buy the pro label in racing. You just buy your way to one of these rides, you know.
Hey man,
blue check mark your career.
Look at Formula One.
Oh, it's really
Perfect
bad.
Perfect example is Formula One. The only people that are in Formula One that truly have talent is, you know, Alonso, Hamilton, Verstappen, George Russell has talent. Charles Leclerc has talent, but Charles Leclerc has millions behind him. You know, Lando Norris is a good driver, but he also has millions behind him as well. Sargent's a good driver, but he's got money behind him too. Alex Albon.
All of these people have a too much amount of money. Like even someone like Verstappen, how do you get to that level of racing at that young of an age? You had to have a ton of money somewhere.
He had a very difficult father that said, if you want this is how you're going to be. You're going to become a robot.
Okay, but how do you get into those race cars at all, period? You have to have money.
So he.
You have to.
Well, yeah. But
there's no way around it. He could be all these great things that you're about to say, but if he didn't have any money to get into those cars, you would never know him.
No, I understand that. But
okay. That's all.
In the karting world, he raced for free.
Okay.
Because all of the manufacturers paid for his racing, and his dad built the majority of his engines.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, his father had some means because he did race Formula One, but he invested his money wisely, and so that he could pursue this with his son. And when he did go from go-karting to cars, this is how it works in formula cars. There's 4 drivers on the team. You have 3 drivers paying, say, $1 million, and then you have that one driver who's only coming with, say, $200,000.
Okay.
That's how it works in open wheel racing. And out of go-karts, Max Verstappen was courted by Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, out of go-karting. And he did not sign with anyone until halfway through his first year of Formula 3, which was Red Bull. Red Bull said that they would take him to Formula 1 next year. So his father said, I'm signing with Red Bull because they guaranteed X, Y, Z. And then guess what he did at the age of 16? He was in a Formula 1 car.
And so my bigger question with this would be, obviously, I think the bigger difference here between F1 and a NASCAR scenario with the money and all this, the performance, I would say, unlike NASCAR, F1 is kind of open with the cars being different. There ain't no next gen. There ain't no things trying to make everyone the same. And then, you know, the drivers make the difference. F1's kind of open with saying everybody just kind of do what you want. Here's a few rules, right?
Well, there's a lot of rules. Yes, everyone has to manufacture X amount of their own car. They can buy some, you know, the engine and drivetrain and, you know, some aero parts from other people, like what Haas does with Ferrari. A lot of their car is Ferrari. And then the rest is built by Dallara. So I would say,
but there's a lot of in-house projects, aren't there?
Well, there's a budget cap. There's 150 million that they can spend a year.
My bigger point is, it seems like there's a competition element in Formula One outside of the driver. Like, people are trying to be better than one another. And I just think that race cars make a real big difference in Formula One. And I don't think that Lewis Hamilton is worse than Verstappen. He's just not in the best car right now. Cars are dictating that. They're RC cars over there, basically. These drivers and their names, it doesn't matter.
Yes, 100%. But you know what's really embarrassing, Chaz? Is when you see Verstappen dominating, but then you see his teammate, you know. So just so you know, Max Verstappen has more points just by himself that he can make sure that his team is number 1 in the Constructors' Championship without his teammates' points.
Wow.
Isn't that insane? He has more points in the championship than the second place non-Red Bull.
And do you think that is because of the car or the driver? I mean, you don't think that even Red Bull, you don't think that Red Bull within itself has like a 1A and a 1B car?
Red Bull, no.
You think that think Verstappen his teammate gets the same exact race car?
100%.
Not true.
100% he does.
No.
So you mean to tell me that car's
Hold on.
half a second a lot slower?
Are you telling me that Verstappen is that much better than everyone?
Verstappen is basically what Lewis Hamilton was when he came into the sport, generational talent.
Well, here's what I would like to know. If you're dominating that much, that means you need to go and find better competition. He needs to leave F1 because F1 ain't got the good enough competition to challenge him. In fact, Max Verstappen couldn't come to Lucas Oil and do what he's doing to F1 to us. There's no way. He could go to NASCAR and do it, you know. He could probably go to IndyCar and do it. He couldn't do it in dirt racing. What about World Rally, you know?
I think that if Verstappen wanted to be, he could be the modern day Mario Andretti, kind of like what Larson's doing, but on a whole nother level.
Yeah, because Larson can't get enough driver points. You have to have a certain amount of driver on your super license points or whatever. I talked to his dad about this. And NASCAR only gives you like 5. So he would have to like commit his career for like 10 years to build the amount of license points to even race F1. So he couldn't.
No, that's not true.
That's what, I don't know how many years or what it is, but he would have to go race a bunch of lower level things and build his license points up. That's what I was told.
For super license points, I think that there would be the FIA would review that separately if he actually submitted a license application.
You think that they would just shoot him up the ladder? Is that how that works?
No, that's not how that works, Chaz. I would say that he has what would the FIA say if this guy wanted to come in run F1 after winning the Indy 500?
From my understanding, he still has to go and build these licenses. This points up.
Yes, there's points, but I'm pretty
and
sure
he couldn't build it in IndyCar and NASCAR. He would have to go to like F2 or 3 or whatever the hell they got over there. IMSA.
It would have to be. It would be reviewed, guaranteed.
So you think it might get shot up?
You don't.
But isn't that against their protocol? Blah blah blah. Aren't they supposed to be like professional?
Yeah, well,
shouldn't he have to do it like everyone else? It would blow the whole FIA system apart.
Well, the whole FIA system is the cartel. It's absolutely horrendous. Did you know
the whole system's the cartel?
Chaz, now listen to this. If you win an F2 championship, you cannot race F2 again.
Right.
You're not allowed to. So guess what? You have to sit on the sidelines and wait for a Formula One team to give you a ride.
Or you go race something else.
Of the car. You could go race Super Formula in Asia. Yes, you could go do that. Or you could come over to America and run IndyCar. But if you are not in the paddock in Formula One, you are irrelevant.
So you can't do good. That's what you're saying. You can't do good.
Here's no, you can't do good in F2, or else you're going to be seen on the sidelines for a year or 2,
or maybe forever.
Or you got to wait for your dad to buy a Formula One team, right?
Apparently.
So and that's the thing. But if you want to have a conversation about Formula One, we can go all day long about Formula One. But here's the funny thing. So you know the whole thing going on with McLaren and Chip Ganassi Racing. So Alex Palou said that he wasn't going to race for Chip Ganassi Racing in 2023. Okay, so he said that he wasn't going to go race for Chip Ganassi Racing 2023. So he wins the championship, right, in 2021. And let me get this right. I know we're recording. Let me make sure I get my info right.
You're good.
I don't want to get a phone call from one of these guys.
Right.
I know that I probably will. So, anyways, I've known Alex Palou since he was a kid in go-karting. Mom and Dad had absolutely no money in Spain. He developed relationships in go-karting, raced for free, won championships in go-karting. He was teammates to Max Verstappen, okay? In the World Championship, I think he finished 2nd or 3rd behind Max Verstappen, right there, right on his rear bumper, but got beat, right? He developed relationships with key people, and he wasn't going to make it to Formula One, so he went to he went to Super Formula and developed relationships with Honda. Honda brought him over to IndyCar with Dale Coyne Racing. Okay?
Really?
Then he went from Dale Coyne Racing, with Honda, and went to Chip Ganassi Racing in 2021 and wins a championship with Chip Ganassi Racing in his first year with the team. Okay? Halfway through 2022, he says Chip Ganassi the company puts out a press release saying that we're going to go, we're signing Palou for 2023. We picked up his option, and then he puts out a tweet saying that he's not going to be racing for Chip Ganassi Racing.
I remember when all that happened. Yeah, it was really headline.
They said that he signed with Zak Brown in McLaren. So here's some of the backstory. Zak Brown is basically a prick. Okay, in the racing world, nobody likes him. Okay, he hates Chip Ganassi Racing. He hates Chip.
McLaren.
Personally. No, Zak Brown, who's the CEO of McLaren Racing and the IndyCar team.
So McLaren, McLaren hates Ganassi, basically.
Zak Brown, McLaren doesn't hate Ganassi. Zak Brown,
who runs
Ganassi
McLaren,
hate each other. Yes, correct.
But this Brown runs McLaren, and he hates Ganassi. Okay, so that's what I meant by McLaren hates Ganassi.
Yes. Yeah, he's got a personal vendetta against Chip. Okay? So he did everything in his power to get Palou away from him and basically promised Alex, an F1 seat and all of this stuff in advance on contract for 2023, 2024. So anyways, they went to court, and Palou ends up having to race for Ganassi in 2023, and look at the year that he's having. He's absolutely just destroying the competition. Well, Zak Brown does not have a seat for him anymore in Formula One because Piastri, who's the number 2 to Lando Norris, is actually doing pretty well. So guess what? Alex is like, well, why the hell would I go to your IndyCar team if I'm not going to get the Formula One seat? So screw you. I'm going back, and I'm signing with Chip Ganassi Racing for a long-term deal. So now you have Zak Brown saying, I'm going to sue you, Alex Palou, if you're not going to drive my Indy car.
Oh, my God.
So here's the funny thing, that the rumors are that guess who owns guess who builds the Chevy IndyCar engines?
Who?
Roger Penske's company.
Oh, no.
Well, guess what? If Zak Brown keeps being the dick that he is to Alex Palou and Chip Ganassi Racing, do you think that Roger Penske's going to say, welcome, keep coming to IndyCar, or do you think he's going to say you're putting a bad name on my IndyCar series here, and you're also a Chevy engine manufacturer as well? Maybe if you don't kind of let this go, maybe we'll just, we don't need you in 2024 as an IndyCar team.
And this is the same McLaren isn't that what Larson's driving?
Yes.
So this Zak Brown is Larson's IndyCar boss.
Correct.
And he's causing all this.
Yeah, he's causing a big rift. And me personally, if I was Kyle Larson, I would not want to be getting into a McLaren for Indy. It's hit or miss.
How much has it missed?
Well, they've missed the Indy 500 before. I can tell you that.
So this isn't a good... I mean, it has to be a good ride. It's got McLaren on the side of it. That's what everybody thinks.
Well, I think the dumbest thing is that he's not racing with Penske at Indy. I really think that Roger Penske should have made a seat for him at Indy. That's what I think.
But this McLaren's junk, and the guy who's put it together is basically going to destroy IndyCar racing, or what?
So Zak Brown's a marketing guy. You have a marketing guy trying to run a race team. How well do you think that's going to end?
Well, it's got our ass talking about him, so the marketing's working out.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe this is all part of the plan.
You know, exactly. So he's one of those guys who just loves to just talk, and bark with no bite.
Well, I mean, his bite technically is these race teams, right?
Well, he thinks that because McLaren racing in the UK is much larger, that they're just going to get all of the money out of Alex Palou possible. He's not helping the world of racing. If anything, he's hurting it. He's not trying to build it up.
And where's the roots for him? Where's the roots for him in that McLaren deal? What's their only goal? What's their past outside of this IndyCar venture?
It's all about brand recognition is really what it is. He's just basically trying to cross brand, you know, taking like Aero Electronics from IndyCar and bringing them, you know, with regards to getting the most amount of exposure to Formula One as well, right? So he's trying to do that whole cross-platform with sponsors, right, and maximize the dollars at the end of the day, right? But also at the same time, he's pissing off a lot of people. So he's almost like what like how Ferrari is when it comes to pit stops. Chaos, strategy, chaos, right?
Right.
He's a great marketer, and his cars look beautiful, you know, a little weird, you know, but at the end of the day, as long as it makes dollars, he really doesn't care. If he's showing a profit at the end of the year, he doesn't care.
And do you think this type of action is going to promote a profit?
Hey, the sponsors aren't leaving the team, so obviously it is.
Yeah, true.
Right?
But that's crazy. When you started saying it, I'm like, McLaren, hold on, that's Larson's owner.
Yep. So, and this is a 2-year deal, right? Where Kyle's going to run the Indy 500, and you know, I will say I have heard of a couple people leaving the McLaren IndyCar team, which is good because they're a bunch of drunks. That shouldn't be involved in an IndyCar program, especially when someone's running 240 miles an hour. So maybe things could be on the up and up, but you need to understand that when Kyle Mortier, so he used to run the McLaren team, he left and went to Chip Ganassi Racing.
Oh.
And he was the team manager, and he helped build up that program. And then McLaren took it over, and you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I feel bad for my friend Pato O'Ward. I really hope that he's not going to get screwed. Hopefully, he continues to get paid and paid well. But you know, I think that
this Palou thing's insane.
Oh, well, now he's going to be the highest paid IndyCar driver.
So he is going to go to McLaren then?
No, he's going to stay at Ganassi.
And then have to pay. He's getting sued, though.
He's going to have to pay back his advance that he was given from McLaren. But he also doesn't have the same management company that was representing him through all of that. He got rid of them.
I'm just surprised that Ganassi would let him come back so easily.
He never let him go.
Well, I know, but to sign a deal with someone else, you know, that was still on Palou.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. You got to remember that it was the management company representing Palou.
Okay. He just didn't have anything
management issue.
Well, but how did he put a tweet out if that's the case? Like, he had some kind of knowledge.
How do we know that was him?
I mean, you would think that he would know if he's being signed to another team or not. You would think he would know.
He doesn't handle his social media. I can tell you
I know, but he signed. You said he signed an official deal. You don't. What do you mean? Like it's in court. He might get sued over it. He signed a deal with another team while he was at Ganassi.
Right.
I'm just surprised that Ganassi would forgive
Kyle
that
Larson
so
handle all
easily.
of his own?
I'm not
Because
talking about social
he
media.
already-
I'm not talking about
he already
social
has the
media.
deal. Because Chip said he already had a deal in place.
Right, but he
has
did.
a deal in place. You're not breaking the deal.
But he did sign something with this McLaren guy at some point.
Right, but his deal with Chip Ganassi Racing trumped that deal with McLaren.
I understand, but he still was negotiating to leave. I just don't know how that was forgiven so easily.
I think, well, you're going to fight for the best driver.
I mean,
if you have a deal, Chaz, if you have a deal with Kyle Larson, say you're only going to pay him $1 million, and he says he's not going to race for you, and he wants to be paid $5 million, you're going to say, Kyle, you have $1 million salary obligation. I took your option. You have to drive for us based on the contract that you signed. I'm not paying you $5 million. I'm paying you $1 million.
Right.
You have to honor the contract. I'm honoring the contract. You have to honor the contract. And that's what happened. They had to go to court. It cost Polo a couple $100,000 on that deal. Now it looks like,
if I was Ganassi, I would have got rid of him once the deal was up, though. Why would you extend it? He went behind my back and tried to leave me. Get out. Bye.
I don't think it was him. I think it was the management company that was representing him, because they were trying to shop a Formula One ride. And Zak Brown was saying, oh yeah, I have a pass here to Formula One for you. Here's what it is. The problem with those deals is they might look lucrative, but they can be changed at any time.
Right.
Right?
But he tried to take that deal. He tried to take that deal.
He tried to take that deal, yeah.
And I guess Ganassi just forgave him for trying.
100%. Chip would let him go. Chip will let him go today if he has a Formula One ride.
Okay.
Chip Ganassi had Kevin Magnussen racing for him in sports cars, and Haas F1 called and said, we want Kevin Magnussen next year for Formula One, and Chip released him from his contract. Because he said he will never stop somebody going from where they are to Formula One, ever.
A lot of respect for Formula One.
You know who will stop somebody from going to F1?
Who?
Zak Brown.
Oh shit.
Why is Pato O'Ward not in a Formula One car? He's got massive Mexican following, massive U.S. following. Why is he not in Formula One? Is it because he didn't? You know what I think was the issue right there? Is he's not taking Telmex money. If he took Telmex money, he would be there.
Politics.
He's not taking Telmex money like Sergio Perez.
The politics.
Right now, I guarantee you, Patricio O'Ward could be the number 2 to Max Verstappen, because Sergio Perez is bringing all of that Telmex money. He could easily get that seat, but he would have to sell his soul.
So he had to buy the ride.
If he wants that ride,
he'd have to buy it.
Owned. No, he wouldn't have to buy it. He could easily get that ride.
Slavery.
He'd have to sign on the dotted line. Yes.
And all of them are owned. They all got their sugar daddy.
Yep. Why do you think Sergio Perez? Why do you think? So the only reason that Lawrence Stroll was able to buy Force India was because Sergio Perez put it into receivership because he was owed money.
Wow.
Because he initiated that, Lawrence Stroll said, if you do this, help get it into receivership, I will do my due diligence in the background, and once I acquire the team, you will be paid in full and you will get 2 years of driving. And what did he get? Boom.
Jeez. That's how it is in Formula One, huh?
That's how it is in business, my friend.
Well, racing's
From
supposed to be a
sprint
sport. It's supposed to be a sport, not a business.
It is a business. At the end of the day,
the drivers driving the cars should not be there based on business. They should be there based on sport. Now, there's business around the sport that they are supposed to play in, but the business ain't supposed to be in the player side. That's where the sport's at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. You know.
I agree.
So,
I agree, but that's not the way it always is, my friend. So
it's not a sport. It's supposed to be a sport. It's supposed to be a sport.
I know. So what's the over-under on Kyle Larson making the Indy 500 with McLaren?
Oh, I think he's in it. They need it. They'll cheat it. They'll do whatever they can. They'll do whatever they can. That car will be in the race. Might be a provisional for the first time ever.
Yeah. So McLaren Racing missed the Indy 500 in 2019 with Fernando Alonso in a humiliating defeat that could have stopped the team from making a full-time move to IndyCar. This was back in 2019.
Wow. What about this NASCAR crap? How about that Chris Buescher, man? Nobody a couple weeks ago, and he's fourth in points. Ripped off 3 wins like it was nothing.
Hey, you see what happens when you go from a tier 2 manufactured support to a tier 1?
Right. That's back to that Tony Stewart shit.
Maybe, but also Brad Keselowski has taken what he's basically creating a Penske Racing.
Or old school Roush, yeah.
No. It's not old school Roush anymore. He got rid of all of those people. It's all new people at Roush, working really hard. He's cleaned up that place. It is pristine, clean, like what it is at Penske.
Well, but the battle to be the number 1 Ford is who then? It's going to be Penske, as always, but then 2311's coming in, it looks like, and then RFK. That's a lot of roosters.
Yeah. That's a powerhouse. That's what you need as a manufacturer. If you want to be taken seriously, you're gonna have 3 tier 1 supported teams, and then you have your tier 2, which is probably going to be Stewart-Haas Racing. So, and that's just what it is.
Right.
And really, the reason why Penske is a tier 1 is because he's a massive Ford dealer in the United States, right? He's a massive Chevrolet dealer as well. That's why he has the Chevrolet relationship on the IndyCar side, right?
Right.
He's a very, very smart businessman that's been able to get along with all of the manufacturers. I'm surprised that he's not Toyota, to be honest, because he also has Toyota, Lexus, Mercedes. He has everything, right? And everything that's on his cars for racing is all B2B. Everything that is on Penske Racing race cars is all B2B relationships.
Right.
How it's all funded.
Right.
So that's just the way it is for them, right?
Well, there's not a lot of Fords performing, outside of Buescher. I mean, besides Buescher's run here recently, Fords have kind of sucked this year.
Yeah, but you got to remember. So if Chris Buescher runs well, Brad Keselowski runs well.
Right.
It's not just one runs well. They both run well.
All right.
So what does that say? That means as an organization, they figured something out. And I hope they're not peeking at it.
Right.
Last year, they were nowhere. This year, it's freaking unbelievable.
Right.
So
I'll tell you what, William Byron ain't going to win the damn championship. I'll tell you that. Ain't no way.
Why?
It's probably the worst race car driver I know in my life. One night in a dirt late model looked worse than me in a dirt car. Horrible. Couldn't even make laps. Was spinning out on his own.
Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it's cup racing, man. He doesn't have to be the best at dirt.
Dirt tells me if you got talent or not. You can go around in a cup car without talent. if you know how to drive. You can't drive on dirt without talent. Talent, it'll show what you got and what you don't, and it showed me he don't. He ain't got it. Now that car can make him look good on that asphalt because out there you're just riding, you ain't driving. As far as driving talent, he's got riding talent. He can ride around in these cars, and when they're better than someone else, he can ride good. But he can't drive.
So if so, you would agree that if Larson and him were in equal cars, Larson would win.
Destroy. I mean, he's a lap car. William Byron is a lap car. He's only there because of the car.
5 wins this year.
He's got that car's won 5 races. He ain't did shit. Anyone could be in that 24 car and do what he's doing. Anybody.
I agree.
Anybody.
I agree.
Noah Gragson.
Hey,
Noah Gragson, where you at? Under the sea.
He's gonna be on the. He's gonna be off. He's gonna be on the sidelines for a while, man.
He ain't that good.
He'll be back next year. He'll be back next year in an Xfinity ride.
I like Martin Truex. I think he's a lot of talent. I don't think Denny Hamlin's gonna win it. I think Larson's a contender. Bell's a contender. Outside of that, I don't really see anyone.
I would say, well, we can write off Blaney. There's no way Blaney's gonna race.
Oh God, yeah.
Like he's had too many nasty hits, and I don't know when it's going to become public knowledge that he's going to miss this weekend, because if he's not concussed, it's a miracle. Same with Ryan Preece. If Ryan Preece is not concussed, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
But for sure, those two guys should be on the sidelines because they're going to be dizzy as can be for a while.
Is there a medical waiver, or does he just have to come back in 2 weeks and win? Like, is there a minimum point waiver? I mean, if you miss it, I guess you're just screwed. You got to win.
No, it's only going into it's only to get into the playoffs. It's not. You don't get a medical waiver in the playoffs.
Okay, so he's screwed without a win, basically. Ryan Blaney is. So Blaney's out this next go round. So we got 4 that's going out. Blaney's going out. Let's just talk about who could go out here in these bottom 4. I say. The bottom 4 right now is Wallace, Harvick, Stenhouse Jr., McDowell. Blaney's on the cusp of that. So 1's out. So we got to pick 3 more that are going out. I think you could add Stenhouse to that list.
No, I'm going to tell you right now that McDowell makes it.
You think so?
I'm going to say Harvick's out, Bubba Wallace is out, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is out, and Blaney's out because he's going to be concussed.
Well, hold on. Let's see this schedule. Well, we got schedule matters. Schedule does matter. And I believe it's Darlington that kicks off the first race.
Yep.
So, looking at the schedule, Darlington, Kansas, Bristol, Texas. Or is it 3 races? They cut off at Bristol. 3 races, right?
Yeah.
So Darlington, Kansas, Bristol. I think Bubba Wallace is going to make the cut. He runs extremely well at Kansas.
Yes, he. But that's the thing. If he doesn't win Kansas, is he going to be able to point his way in?
I think he'll run strong at Kansas.
But also, you got to remember. You don't think that Ford Motor Company is going to put more effort behind Michael McDowell now?
Well, okay, but... Okay.
I guarantee you they do. There's 6 Fords in the chase.
Stenhouse usually goes good on these shorter tracks, too. Kevin Harvick usually goes good at Bristol.
I would say if there was a speedway race, I would say that Ricky would have a better chance. He's hit or miss, man.
All these guys are hit and miss down here in the bottom 12, 13, 14.
Like you know who could be eliminated if they continue to have bad pit stops is the 45.
Oh, Reddick?
Yeah.
But these are his style tracks in a way. I would say that Darlington and Bristol are his style.
But if they keep having pit road problems, they're going to be screwed. You know who's the sleeper in this whole championship?
Who? Bill.
Joey Logano.
Oh, Joey Logano ain't going nowhere. In fact, I'll put him in the first 4. He's in the first 4 to be eliminated. So I'll do Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano,
Kevin Harvick.
No, I think he'll do well. Darlington and Bristol, that's more so Kevin Harvick. So Blaney, Logano. Blaney, Logano, Stenhouse. Blaney, Logano, Stenhouse, McDowell.
Yeah.
Blaney, Logano, Stenhouse, McDowell. I think Harvick and Wallace are good at these tracks. Harvick and McDowell. I would bubble on Harvick and McDowell. If I was to be able to pick 5, and for the 5, I would say Logano, Blaney, McDowell, Stenhouse, Harvick.
Right.
Although that could sway at any given point. You know, one bad race and it's over. That's the thing. Or you have to win. And that's the deal. The winners are in, you know. So if it doesn't come out of these prize pool people, it's going to come out of these bottom halves. You know, and you could have a situation where Ross Chastain don't make it. What's he done recently, you know? He ain't done much. Kyle Busch has went into bad spells this year for a couple weeks, you know?
So do you remember, I don't know if you watched it, because Ryan Blaney hit a concrete wall head on at Nashville earlier this year. Did you see that crash?
Yes.
So back then, Ryan Blaney, he had symptoms of a concussion back then. That was a couple months ago.
Okay.
So, and he has another nasty hit not even 3 months later. Come on.
So you think Ryan Blaney is going to be done? He's retiring.
No, he's not going to retire.
Why not?
You see that guy squinting after that crash, man?
Why not? Why not retire? Why not get out while you still have your consciousness? Why not?
Maybe. Before this car kills somebody?
You don't think Dale Earnhardt Jr. would say get out now? To Ryan Blaney?
Hey, man. Anything's possible.
Is it time for Ryan Blaney to hang it up?
It would be safer for him to get the sprint car at this point.
Really? You think it'd be safer for Ryan Blaney to go sprint car racing than stay in Cup?
If you're going to continue to race these cars 100%, man, it's a freaking... This is Russian roulette with these cars. Like, these are sports cars racing on ovals. Stupid.
It's not right.
No, it's not
right. And you're saying they're more dangerous than sprint cars, which people would consider sprint cars more dangerous. I mean, they have killed somebody this year.
Well, did they have a wing on?
No. You're talking about wing sprint cars.
I'm talking about wing sprint cars. I'm not talking about non-wing. Non-wing, that's a whole nother... That's a whole nother animal of a human being.
But you think, your honest opinion is that the next NASCAR Next Gen vehicle is a more dangerous car than a winged 410 sprint car?
100%.
And what would you say that's because they're just built too solid? What would be?
Oh, they're way too rigid. They're way too rigid. If you look at the crash that Kyle Larson had, I think it was Ryan Preece, for God's sake.
Yeah, Ryan Preece. I said that in my deal. He went into Larson earlier in the year at the Daytona 500, and then he flips down the back straightaway at the summer race. It's not good luck for him.
So Kyle Larson's cockpit was almost protruded.
Yeah.
With a bar.
Yeah.
Like, it was destroyed.
Yeah.
That car was a write-off.
Pretty much.
That's probably the only time I'll say thank goodness for a carbon fiber seat.
And so that's your explanation as to why it's more dangerous.
It's a friggin' sports car. Dallara builds sports cars in Indy cars. They don't build something that they don't have the 50 years of experience of crashing a car on an oval like these race teams had.
Right. Right.
There's so many carbon fiber pieces on this car. Carbon fiber doesn't really, it doesn't absorb energy as good on an oval. Like, you need to be able to dissipate energy, and these cars do not dissipate energy like the old car.
That's true.
Way too rigid.
Well, and it's just it's like it's almost like I feel like this NASCAR next gen car is kind of like when Canada did those you can't kill grizzly bear laws. The city people did it, and then like the people in the country got the law, and they're like, "Are you crazy? That they're killers." It's like they intended to do something good with this new car, but they don't have experience out there in the wild of these high-speed ovals, and it's like they just throw them this crap that isn't built, doesn't have the development, doesn't have the acknowledgement of knowledge from the people within the sport. I mean, the new car is not a race car. It's a sports car, as you said. And it doesn't have the test of time at all in these high impact wrecks. And even the racing suffers because it's not, built for racing in ovals. I think the development of the regular stock car was going along decently well. Why did we need this new one? Oh, for equality. Well, how's that fucking worked out?
Have you seen the bottom of these race cars?
Yeah, they're wings. That's why the flip even happened.
Exactly. If they just removed the flat floor and the diffuser, these cars they would have to slow down going into the corners.
Yeah,
they have too much mechanical grip. They have too much aero grip. It needs to stop. They don't even have a ride height rule. Chaz, they don't even have a ride height rule. If these guys had a ride height rule, when they blow out tires, they would actually be able to drive the car back to the pit. They're so freaking low to the ground because they got to get the diffuser to work.
End of the day, what I said with William Byron is exactly what we're talking about. Because on these asphalt cars, you can ride in these cars. There's so much grip. There's so much things keeping the car going in the direction it's supposed to go that it's hard to spin or wreck these cars. Sometimes, I mean, when they go, but it's hard to make a mistake and it show. So they made these cars to where these rich preppy kids coming up that really don't have much talent but can buy a steering wheel and a gas pedal to push and look famous. They built these cars so that these untalented, untested drivers can come in there and make laps competitively. They made it so easy that you just got to ride in the car and it will take you to the front, depending on how good the quality of the car is. They don't have no talent at the end of the day. They built a car to be talentless because these old school cars like the Bullet car, the Gen 4s and the 5s, right there before COT, and even these here recently, those cars, if you didn't know how to drive those cars, you spun the fuck out and wrecked and destroyed your shit. If you didn't have talent, you couldn't take those cars around the track. That's why I like a Martin Truex Jr. or a Denny Hamlin or some of these guys who race those old, I call them bullet cars, because those were the last cup cars, the pre-COT cars were some of the cars that if you didn't have talent, you couldn't go around the track in those cars. You know, but today's cars are not like that. You don't need that talent to drive the Cup car in today's era.
So,
a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a vent there, but
no, and it's true. There's no argument there. I would say Ryan Truex is an incredible talent. Martin Truex, geez, right? Martin Truex is a great talent. Fortunately, it took too long for him to win a championship. But again, circumstances and teams, you know. Here's the other thing. What do you think? So we're talking about talent. What do you think of Carson Hocevar going from the Truck Series to the Cup Series next year? Because he's going Cup racing next year.
Well, Carson Hocevar's, I mean, I've talked to him a few times. He's pretty cool. Is he an elite talent? I don't think he's up there too much. He's not scared. That's good. The difference between Xfinity and the Truck Series is what? I mean, honestly, you're just paying another couple $10 million to not race Cup if you was to do Xfinity. And then, I mean, yeah, the trucks are a little more competitive, I guess. There's more people in there running each other over, so I guess that makes it harder to perform. I feel like the Xfinity Series is technically putting on the best racing of the big three in NASCAR right now.
Oh my gosh! If the Cup drivers were driving the Xfinity cars, you know how amazing the racing would be. Holy shit!
Right,
my gosh,
because they're basically the pre-next
racing.
gen cars. You know, they're the real race cars still over there. They're not these freaking sports cars. And NASCAR's kind of like the country right now. You know, some of these people out there, they have an identity crisis. They don't know what they are. They were born in oval asphalt series. That's what made them big. And then somehow they grew up and got big and think that they're something else now. They think that even though they're born straight, they want to be trans racer and be dirt cars sometimes and road course cars sometimes. I'm waiting for NASCAR to just put slicks on and do fucking drag racing. Because they're trying to they have an identity crisis. They don't even know what they are. And their next-gen car is a symbolism of that. What is funny? They literally change their skirts to race on the dirt. They literally do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No response, huh?
I agree.
And the Xfinity cars are the last Cup asphalt, the regular cars, you know. I mean.
Yeah, very similar, yeah. Agreed. Bit of a different rules package. Actually, I think the Xfinity cars I think they race with more horsepower than the Cup cars do.
Yeah, but they're not into the track or anything like that. So, I mean, I think as far as Hocevar going, it just skips the delayed process because you're not learning anything in Xfinity because the next gen car is a different class in itself now.
Well, I think now the reason why they're saying that they want to take somebody from the Truck Series to the Cup Series is because they drive very similar. The Xfinity cars are going to create bad habits.
It makes sense.
Because you have to drive the car different.
Right. Well, and I just think there's no... You used to get into Xfinity because you're getting into a stock car, you know, a very similar body type, maybe a little slower. That's what it was. You know, Busch Grand National, whatever. It was just to prep you for fast oval asphalt cars instead of trucks. The trucks was just kind of a marketing ploy to get more OEM support, you know, back in the day. The Truck Series actually killed the stadium truck racing that Jimmy Johnson did. He talks about it, how they lost all OEM support in arena truck racing after the Truck Series with NASCAR came along. But it's been a gimmick. So at this point, though, with the new next gen car, there's no need to really get used to a fast oval stock car anymore because that's not what the next gen car is. So laps in an Xfinity car are pointless. Anything but the next gen car doesn't help because it's a whole new car on its own.
Hey, I agree. I agree. Have you heard in 2024 IndyCar they're gonna bring electric power to the IndyCars?
In what way?
So they're gonna do an energy recovery system. So they're going to be able to deploy 150 bhp power at any time.
Dang.
So
like a NOS
similar
button.
to what they do. Yeah, so similar to what they do in Formula One. So they're going to be able to recover under braking and then deploy the battery whenever they want. And one of the things I think that could make IndyCar really successful with this, Chaz, is if they keep it in the driver's hands. Because they've actually tried some automated systems, and it's like, why would you guys want to go autonomous for that stupid shit? Like, don't be stupid.
Right.
Keep it in the driver's hands. Come on.
Yeah, autonomy's dangerous.
So, well, yeah, it actually really could be dangerous, really. But to be honest, I really think that keeping it in the driver's hand adds additional strategy, right? When to deploy it, when not to deploy it, right? Because you can use it as a defense mechanism for, somebody trying to pass you.
Right.
Right? So, and that's another thing. These Indy cars, they used to be 1,000 horsepower.
Right.
They're not anymore, right? They're 750 horsepower. Sad, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing that's really cool that IndyCar has, that Formula One, actually, I would say the cool thing that IndyCar doesn't have is power steering.
Yeah, I told you about that, you son of a bitch. But yeah.
What?
I told you that they don't have power steering.
Yeah, so you need to fucking work out, right?
Yeah, that's what Jimmy Johnson and all them said. Yeah, it was a big physical difference. Yeah, because he has to utilize different muscles on his body than he did driving a stock car. Right. So, but, and that's another thing. I'm glad that Jimmy Johnson stopped driving an Indy car because it was tarnishing
I never
his
thought
legacy.
He should have.
Yeah, it was tarnishing his legacy.
100%. And, I think him even hopping in for a race or two in Legacy, bad idea. Yeah. Bad idea. Yeah. So, but again, at the end of the day, when money talks, you're going to go do it.
It's true.
Like when a sponsor comes to you and says, I want to do this, and I'm going to offer you X stock options, and I'm going to sponsor you 2 years in IndyCar, you're going to go do it.
Most of the time.
You're going to go do it. You're going to go do it when you're making $10 million a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to go do it when they help you buy a NASCAR team. You're going to do it when the manufacturer comes to you and says, we want you to switch from Chevrolet to Toyota. You're going to do it when money talks. How much money are you going to give me? Oh, I'm going to give you about $10, $20 million a year. Okay, we'll do it. We'll switch. No problem.
It's sad how easy it is to buy.
Joe Gibbs Racing.
It's sad how easy it is to buy people nowadays. Just buy them. Same thing.
Well, Chaz, would you
buy
stay in a relationship if it's gonna? Well, here's the thing: are you gonna stay in a relationship if the train's gonna fly off the tracks? Why would you stay with that manufacturer? When the manufacturer starts looking elsewhere, what are you gonna do? Wait until they dump your ass?
Well, I guess you got to do it that way. Then you gotta strike first.
It's B2B. Well, who said they struck first? Right?
I mean, that's true.
Because Ford could have already gone after 2311, saying your contract's up with Toyota, Denny, your contract's up with Joe Gibbs. Why don't we get all of you guys over here to Ford? We'll make you a Tier 1 supported team. We'll help you guys fund more so you guys can have your own pit crew instead of getting your fourth or fifth best pit crew from Joe Gibbs Racing. Right?
Yeah, that's a big deal.
So there's a lot of games in this sport, man. in all aspects, from IndyCar, Formula One, NASCAR, you name it. It's the same game, just different series.
And just levels of monetization.
Yeah.
I would say that F1 is the top level. I would say, you know, there's some other stuff behind that, then NASCAR, and then you trickle down a little bit more, then it's dirt, and you trickle down a little more, and then it's go-karts, and then you trickle down a little more, and then you find everyone else who can't afford this race and shit, and that's why they call it white people problems, you know, because we're the only people with the money to even worry about this expensive damn thing going in circles.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's good. Hour and a half talker. That's how long it was.
Holy shit.
Hour and a damn half. Yeah, when this guy calls, I just like, all right, we're going to start recording. Because it's always something. It's always something. The intel is here, ladies and gentlemen. This is my undercover PSYOP operator right here. Andrew Tate of Dirt right here.
There you go.
I mean, I don't want to give you that much
credit. Motorsports. That's
bad, ain't it? This whole video is probably going to get shut down now that we said that. Algorithm's going to recognize the name.
Yeah, once you say the name, you're screwed, right?
Oh, yeah. So. It's on. It's a trigger word. Restricted monetization. I can't make $20 on this video. It's against the law. Anyways.
Against the law.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Be sure to join the support. Links in the descriptions. And as always, like and comment below. What do you think? Subscribe. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
This is how we ride. This is how we do.